Hey, warriors! Welcome back to another episode of the Invisible Diaries. We're your hosts. I'm Misty.
And I'm Amber. And today we're discussing how clutter affects your well being.
As always, a quick disclaimer any information discussed in this podcast is strictly our opinion and for informational purposes only. It is not meant as medical advice and it should not be taken that way. Always consult with your doctor or medical team. I also want to throw in, sorry, shoot.
No, you're good.
We are happy to be back. I know it's been a while, but it's a new year and we have planned the upcoming episodes to kind of have a little more of a system, and we're really excited about that. So,
as always, you guys know battling a chronic illness can be hard. And if you find yourself or someone you love in crisis and need someone to talk to, you can call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK, which provides free and confidential support in the US 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Again, that number is 1-800-273-TALK. If you prefer to text instead, you can access help by texting the crisis text line at 741-741, 24 hours a day. Now let's get started.
yay!
Hi, friend. I haven't talked to you in so long.
I know we've missed everybody too. I feel terrible that we kind of had a couple episodes. Well, basically our episodes just got pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. Like the holidays really wrecked us, and I'm sure they wrecked you. And hopefully you could catch up on the older podcast. If not, well, here we are. We're back, and we're going to try to keep it a little more regular.
Yeah, and that's just the way it goes. You guys know, I mean, obviously Missy and I both have autoimmune disease, so when it hits the fan, it hits the fan hard. So we've got a better plan moving forward, which is kind of how we picked this topic, because we know it's a dreaded topic. We know nobody likes to talk about clutter, but Misty and I both had pretty big moves at the end of last year. So we feel like we can now get to a place where we can talk about this.
Oh my goodness.
There's nothing like moving to really make you reanalyze how much stuff you have, right?
That is true.
All right. So basically, when I was kind of doing research it's a touchy subject, clutter. And obviously with the whole, Marie Kondo method, and if you guys don't know what that is, just Google it and you'll have more information than you ever care to know. But clutter basically is defined as any collection of things lying around in an untidy mess. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be paper, it could be clothes, it could be crafts, whatever your thing is. It just basically is stuff that's not put away in an orderly fashion. So for me, that's like my countertop right when you walk in. It just kind of is the drop zone for everybody. So mail, keys, my son, whatever he brings home from school. Yep. Yeah, exactly. And my nightstand. What about you, Misty?
Well, we have a couple of those. So I think we're going to kind of have different sides and perspectives when it comes to this topic, which is perfect. Because mine's going to be a little bit more about like OCD, I think, or my wherever I'm coming from. And so I've been very stressed lately. So I don't know who all knows this. I know you know this, but my father's dying. We moved. My son just had a heart procedure. My health has kind of been on the back burner. There's, a lot going on. We've got a new puppy, which you probably heard him a couple times. He's actually playing right now, right next to me. But I've been very stressed, and so I have a little bit of OCD, and it hasn't been a big deal for years. Like just like the normal, if I get anxious, I might be like clean the house or whatever.
Right.
But like in the last few months, it's been very bad. So for me, the trying to manage that is one thing, and then also trying to, because my husband, he's the one, and kids, I mean, they're normal people, so they come home and they do drop their stuff everywhere. His shoes are thrown down. He has his like cooler he'll put on the table. He throws his keys on the counter. And so like all these things, just like, it's like his trail, and it literally makes me crazy. So I think that's kind of what my perspective is going to be today is I guess
How it's hard to
coming
live
from
with other
that.
people.
Yeah. So you go ahead and talk about where you're coming from for 2 seconds while I let the dog out. He's
Absolutely, yeah.
whining. Hang on.
So basically, we have a motto in our house, which is more mess means more stress. And my husband and my son both know when there's a lot of mess for me, it creates such a high level of anxiety. So I never really understood how much clutter affected my anxiety until we were getting ready for the move. And I was getting really short tempered and I was having a lot more anxiety attacks and I was feeling overwhelmed and not like myself. I was eating really bad. And so I kind of had to take a step back. And as we were clearing stuff out and moving things either to the new place or storage or donate, I could start to breathe.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so less stuff, less mess, less stress. So, for us, and for me especially, I've learned how much clutter really affects my ability to focus, my anxiety level, and my productivity level. Because when I used to call it controlled chaos, but now I know that that's just basically a crutch.
Yeah.
And that nobody does well with chaos. I mean, nobody. We're just not designed that way.
Yeah.
So we have a new mantra going into 2020, which is, less mess, less stress.
Yeah, it's very true. And like there's times in my life where I think like I would love to live that minimalist life where you just have a few
Right.
things. But like I know it's not really a reality for me because like even just like looking around my place right now, like it's I do have a lot of stuff. I have a record collection, a camera collection, I collect art, and I'm like
Right.
part of me is like I don't think I can get rid of it. So,
Well, and you
it
run several
it can be
businesses out of your house
hard. Yeah.
too. Yeah.
But it can be hard, but definitely the move like really makes a big difference. So
Right.
when you move, that's when you really just like things. It's different than if you're not moving because that's when you're just like, do I want to pack this? Do I
Right.
have a place for this? Because it's usually just
which
like tucked away.
which I have seen, in some of the research for this podcast, I saw that as a recommendation. If you want to just start with one room or one area, you can pack everything. And then basically, as you need stuff, you unpack what you need. And then after a certain amount of time, you let the rest go. So,
Yeah.
for me, it's harder just because if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. So I would just forget about it and go buy new.
Oh yeah.
So it's not really realistic. But for some people, if they're feeling overwhelmed and they're not moving, it's a way to kind of foam move, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
pretend to move and then really notice what you're using, what you're not. So,
Yeah.
but
For me, what I would do. Oh, sorry. We
no,
do
you're
that a
good.
lot. For me, what I would do in the past, like if I wasn't moving, I would
Right.
just almost like redo the area and
Mm-hmm.
like I would move things around, try like, a new style in whatever that particular room was. Because like
Right.
for me, I think as much as I love my room and it's my sanctuary, sometimes after like a year or however long, like it kind of just gets stale. So even if you just
Mm-hmm.
move the bed to the other side or like paint a different color on the wall or get like a new
Mm-hmm.
comforter, I mean, it really makes a big difference. And it just kind of
Oh,
like
yeah.
inspires you and just it refreshes, rejuvenates, whatever. And then in that process too, you're also getting rid of stuff. So that was always my
Absolutely.
thing.
Well, and I mean, you kind of, I don't know how many of our listeners are wondering, but like I was wondering, like, how exactly does clutter affect the brain? Because obviously, many of us suffer from brain fog, and that's a daily occurrence for a lot of people. So, when I was researching, I was actually learning about the brain and neurologically speaking, like our brain actually craves organization. So it's kind of like that feeling for a lot of people when you walk into a hotel room and you're like, because everything is very crisp,
Mhm.
depending on the hotel, I guess. But but
It
it's kind
should
of
be.
like, yeah. But it's kind of I never really thought about it from I've thought about the mental side of things, but never really from like a physiological standpoint.
Yeah.
So
And I
you
think
know,
for me, that's why the whole OCD thing, when I'm stressed, you know, I focus on things being out of order, even if it's just the smallest thing like fixing the coasters to line up.
Right.
or like just like I literally like can't sleep if I know that the shoes aren't put away in the right spot, or if there's a dish in the sink, or
Dishes in
like
your sink.
stuff like that, or even like
Yeah.
this is stupid, but like the towel on the I have a towel on the stove, and if
Hmm.
it's not like lined up, you can see the back of it hanging out, or it's like messed up because someone dried their like their
Right.
hands. Like, we live here, so of course like that's gonna happen, but like
Right.
I have to go back and fix it, and I will probably fix it, a lot in one day.
Now, do you notice that your OCD is worse when you've got a lot more like stress going on in your
Right.
life?
Yes, absolutely. That's what I was saying. Like, with my dad dying, and with Darren having the heart procedure, and there's
Moving.
just it's been, yeah, we just bought a house, and other, I have a narcissist in my life that I have to deal with sometimes, and so
Yeah.
all of those type of things have, and with the holidays and traveling, I mean, there's just a lot. So because of the additional stress, yeah, it's definitely kind of kicked it back into full gear. Whereas before, I wasn't like this bad until I think the last time was probably like after the kids were born. I had like postpartum that I hadn't
Right.
dealt with, and I basically managed it by following the kids around, picking up their toys after them all day, instead of just like
Right.
sitting down and actually playing in the mess.
Right.
So it's been a while where it was minor, and sometimes if I was stressed, I would be a little extra, but like it's been a pretty consistent thing to where my husband, we've been together, a few years now, and he actually noticed that it was kind of he pointed it out, and
Right.
we had to have like this discussion. I was like, yeah, so he's like, I think you're like OCD. And I was like, I am. And it's just because of the stress, it's like bad. And I was just like,
Right.
please just love me through this, and don't take things personal.
Hmm.
When I complain about the freaking towel, or like where you put the
Or if I'm
keys,
cleaning up behind you. Yeah.
yeah. So, because
Right.
he gets so offended, he's like, just tell me, let me know, I'll do it. Like,
Right.
he
Right.
doesn't want to ever feel like I'm falling behind him cleaning up after his mess. And I'm like, I'm not.
Sure.
That's not how it is. I'm just a little like extra right now. And just
Yeah.
don't take it personal. Let me do it until I can try to sort this out, really.
Absolutely. Well, the other interesting thing that I learned regarding how clutter affects the brain is that it actually affects your working memory, which for
Mhm.
those of you guys listening, working memory is the part that actually helps you recall. So like, let's say you have a favorite recipe and you're recalling which steps, in order for the recipe, it
Yeah.
actually will affect that part. And so, if you're basically a human being, you have to function and you're already fighting brain fog, not really realizing how much the clutter on the side of your kitchen counter is affecting, your brain working is helpful. It's helpful to know that,
Yeah.
oh, okay, maybe just tidying up this one space and my brain will work better in the kitchen, or, tidying up my desk and maybe I'll be a little bit more productive, you know,
Oh,
because
yeah.
you understand, like you get like focus and you get productivity, but you just don't, you're like, oh, working memory, like I thought that was just my brain fog. So brain
Well,
fog gets blamed
yeah.
for a lot.
It does, but yeah, I mean, it makes sense, because if you think about it, like, um, just as an example, like I used to bartend, and so whenever I would bartend, you have all of the alcohol in the well. And sorry if I'm
Hmm.
messing this up because it's been a long time. And I have my fruit cut, and I'd have them in a certain order, because like when it would get busy,
Hmm.
I would just go into the flow, like almost like muscle memory of
Right.
creating these drinks super fast, getting them out there, because I things were where they belonged. So having
Hmm.
that order, like if I work with someone who's a mess, and there's like a towel in the way, the bottles were not in the right place, or the fruit was missing in somewhere else, then it would
Oh
throw
yeah.
me off. So
Oh, for sure.
having, I feel like, some type of order, it really does give you like that good flow. I
Right.
I
And
think
it's
same
going to
thing in the
be,
kitchen.
yeah, and it's going to be different for everybody, because what somebody considers clutter, another person, it really may not affect them at all. So if
Hmm.
you live with someone, obviously you're sharing space, with them. So you kind of, you have to figure out each other, but you're, carving out your own space. I mean, I definitely have found when stuff's all over, I'm the same way. Like I go to grab something and I'm like, where is it? And
Yeah.
then it sends me into a spiral.
Yeah, like
Like it'll,
cooking. If you're cooking even just the most simple meal, if
right.
you can't find your spatula and you don't know where the pot is, I mean, it's gonna throw you off for
Yes,
sure. Yeah.
definitely. My husband and son have been the brunt of that.
I
but
know.
uh but on the flip side, so you've got the brain on one side, but the other thing that clutter is shown to actually increase is cortisol, which you
Mhm.
guys know it's the stress hormone. So if you are battling, and also it was saying chronic clutter can leave your body constantly in a low grade fight or flight mode, which I thought was interesting for those of us that suffer from dysautonomia, because a lot of times you can be stuck in a sympathetic state. So,
Mhm.
when you can look for ways that will eliminate some of the burden, kind of like when you're, looking at toxic burdens, which we've talked about before, with people that with mast cell, but like those little changes could help, kind of down regulate the sympathetic. I think that
Yeah.
that's, huge.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, anytime I have a procedure, or go out of town and I know I'm gonna be like exhausted,
Right.
I always do like a really big deep clean and organize everything because I know that I just want to sit and relax and not
Think
see
about everything.
something that I
Yeah.
have to fix, and everything I know is where it needs to be and I can just focus on
Right.
that. And,
Right.
otherwise I won't relax. I will be
which
crazy.
which is which is hard because you want to be, when you're having a good day, you want to be 100% present. And so when
Hmm.
you've got things that are distracting, we've got our normal stuff that we fight, which is, our aches and pains and all of those
Yeah.
things. But you want to be able to enjoy whomever you're spending time with, or your space, because like you say, a lot of the
Yeah.
times it can be our castle, sometimes it can be our prison. It just depends on what's going on. So
Yeah.
um but the other thing too is that clutter's linked to poor eating habits, which I didn't
Hmm.
realize. Um, which I kind of, all of these things that I would like I would find on the internet, and then I'm like, wait, how does that apply to my life? And then I'm like, actually, I would agree with that. When the kitchen is a mess, I don't want to I don't want to clean it
That's
necessarily to cook.
true.
So,
Yeah.
you know, those minor
Yeah.
adjustments just,
When my
stuff
kitchen
like
is clean, I want to make like a clean, healthy meal on the stove, chopping up fruit, vegetables, whatever. So, I mean, that makes
yeah,
sense. Like when it is a mess and I'm tired and I don't feel like dealing with a mess, then, um, yeah, I'll probably just grab
yeah.
something convenient.
Well, but it's kind of cyclical, which we've talked about before. When you're out of spoons and, the last thing you want to do is have to clean before you cook, you're going to grab something that's quick, which may not always be the best, healthiest choice for us. And then a lot of times it can produce a flare, because I know when I'm craving junk food, I'm not picking something that's feeding my body. I'm feeding
Right.
my, emotions, I guess.
Yeah.
So, it just was, to me, all of those like tiny little adjustments. I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, you think it's clutter, you're just messy, but clutter really, really impacts your mental and your, physical health.
Yeah. And so for me to, I guess what I'm trying to bring up is how do we get rid of the clutter when we're exhausted? So not everyone
Yep.
has kids that can do chores or maybe a significant other that can help out. So I'll say
Or
this
a
as
cleaning service.
yeah, I'll say tips as far as like you're alone and don't have the help. Um,
Right.
I would start with because for me, like it takes for a lot of us, it takes a lot out of you to do that every week. Spend several hours, and for me, I can't handle like the chemicals and stuff. So number one, I always recommend wearing a mask. So if you're
Mhm.
gonna do dusting or any type of cleaning with any type of chemicals, I always go for the more natural ones. They still affect me, so wearing a mask makes a huge difference,
Mhm.
and stay hydrated. So the mask will protect yourself from breathing in the dust and the allergies or setting something off. The second thing is I have we all have our smartphones. I put in my calendar. So for example, like Tuesday, I will
Mhm.
put every Tuesday at because I know that Tuesday mornings are pretty open for me, for example,
Mhm.
I'll put in my calendar to sweep and I hit, repeat every week. So
Yep.
that's the day that I go around and I sweep. Of course, if I need to sweep, more than once a week, I will, but that's like my, you better not forget. Like it'll be
Right.
bad.
Right.
And, because most likely I hadn't the week before, unless like we had people coming over or it just got really bad. So Tuesdays I sweep and then I'll go through with like the Swiffer and mop.
Mhm.
Um, and then I just kind of set like a calendar of that. So almost like a chore chart, but for a
Mhm.
grown adult. And then
No,
it works,
yeah,
because sweeping the house, it only takes, maybe it'll take like 15-20 minutes if I do a full sweep and then maybe go over with the Swiffer or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, or you can even start setting money aside to get that fancy vacuum thing. But
the
like
robot
just,
vacuum.
that's just like a quick 15-minute chore. You're getting a couple steps in on your Fitbit. You can play
Yep.
some music. It can almost make it like a therapeutic thing. Like make it, listen to us, listen to your podcast. Like right now, you're listening to us and get your sweeping done or do like, find a ritual because again, like we're creatures of habit. And so if you
Mhm.
get make it a like a ritual and a habitual thing that you schedule, just part of your routine, then it definitely will be a lot more successful.
Absolutely. Well, and starting in a place that makes the biggest difference first. So, let's say you're out of spoons and you're exhausted, looking around. I mean, if you're in bed, if that's your nightstand that's just, covered with medications and it's all discombobulated and your icy hot and everything else that, we use to take care of ourselves, with a basket, kind of putting everything in the basket and then all you have is the basket on the nightstand, is that something that will help alleviate some of that
Yes.
anxiety?
I do
Like
that
for
too. I
me,
have
like,
a basket for
yeah,
my self-care stuff.
yeah, yeah. And see, and for me, I would just pile up on top of the basket. So I invested in those little like structured boxes that have a lid. And
Mm.
so now it basically from the shelf, it looks like this like nice, pretty box. But then, all of my cords and cables and whatever else, other crazy electronic stuff or whatever else I use. But finding that, whatever space, so if you're spending most of the time in the, on the couch and it's the table next to the couch, or, like for me walking in and seeing the counter cluttered with stuff, that's the first thing I see and that sets my mood when I come home. That's the space I really make sure gets the most attention if I only have one spoon left.
Yeah.
So I think that's, not trying to tackle, because obviously we posted about that yesterday, and everyone commented, yeah, like we miss our cleaning stamina. You're not going to be able to clean top to bottom. Like, so just really focus on the area or areas that's going to make the biggest difference for you, the most impact.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point because I mean that is true. Like to clean the entire house from top to bottom. That's why for me I like to kind of do my maintenance thing,
Yeah.
every week to do, like dust on this day on the morning and then, if you were to spend like 30 minutes each morning or whatever time of the day is best for you, that's when you can have your coffee or your tea, listen to your podcast or music and then it almost becomes like mind numbing and or therapeutic because you're just listening to something instead of making this dreadful chore.
Well, and that's a really good point too. I actually switched around when I clean, because I used to clean, in the afternoon, and now I clean. I know it's just like anything else. Like even if exercising at the end of the day, I just don't have anything left in the tank, because
Mhm.
inevitably, you guys know as grown-ups, things come up, and so you end up using spoons in places you didn't think you'd, necessarily budgeted. So I find that if I have something that really needs my attention, it gets done first thing in the morning when I have the most energy.
That's a
So
good
otherwise,
idea.
forget it. It
I
just
just had an
doesn't
idea for a
happen.
podcast.
Yay. I love
We should
brainstorming.
do one on like exercise and fitness.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe we can interview somebody. So let's go ahead and put this out there. If there's anyone, I know we have some cool spoony people out there that,
Athletes are, yeah.
that show like different, you know, exercise tips. We need you. We should
Yeah,
have a guest
absolutely. Yeah.
on the show. So reach out to us
Yeah,
on Instagram or shoot us an email. We also have our website, theinvisibleidiaries.com. But yeah, I would
absolutely.
love to do an episode on exercising with chronic illness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And you guys, we've got a ton of fun stuff planned coming up. Misti and I have some big ideas for this year. So we appreciate you guys being patient with us while we've had these really big events going on in our lives. And we hope that you guys had really happy and safe holidays and that you're off to a great 2020 start. And for fun, if you guys, you know, we like celebrating the little victories. We're all about the little victories, not just the big victories. So if you guys want to share with us your little decluttering, projects that you're doing, make sure you tag us with the hashtag clutterfree TID for the Invisible Diaries. Or send us a direct message, because we'd love to cheer you on while you guys, make your way through decluttering.
Yeah, and maybe we'll feature a few of them on our blog post that when we share this episode, because everyone loves tips and advice. So that's hashtag clutterfree TID. TID is in the Invisible Diaries.
And guys, if you have a minute, also please take a minute to give us a review on iTunes, because or whatever platform you're listening on, because it really, really helps us. It helps other people find us, and it also just helps us get the word out to as many people as possible.
Yes, click on that 5th star. We want to get more awareness out there, and we are still fairly new. May will be a year, so I mean it's just now January, so we're not even a year yet. So that's pretty exciting.
We're growing at that tortoise speed, but slow and steady. That's our Spoonie motto.
And we will be doing a contest soon. So if you don't like us on Instagram yet, it's at the Invisible Diaries. Give us a like or follow or whatever it is these days. And stay tuned, because we will be doing a giveaway. And like you said, we have a lot of exciting things coming up. We're going to be doing this exercise podcast soon. Our next episode, which is episode 17, is going to be about narcissists.
Yeah.
So that'll be a fun one. What else? Oh, yeah, again, our website, theinvisiblediaries.com. Please subscribe to that, because every time, we do have a new every time we have a new podcast, we put it on there, and we put the link to the YouTube, any extra links, photos, like all extra good stuff that you don't get here is on there, and it's easy to share, especially if you want someone else to listen to it or to find it. Then it kind of gives them the options of either listening on iTunes or Spotify or wherever. So
and also, if you guys, if you check out our website where our blog's at, you'll get a detailed, with podcasts. Misty and I like to do it like a conversation, because that's our favorite way to have this conversation. But we usually put it more organized. Our thoughts are a little more organized on the blog. So.
Oh my gosh, the puppy is so muddy.
No.
It's raining, and so he's like in the mud.
Oh goodness. All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you guys again so much. Thank you for bearing with us, and thanks for being a part of our first podcast of 2020.
Oh my gosh, yes. I love that.
All right. Awesome. We will talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.